Hey everyone, it's Sunday and it's time for story time. We're still in spooky season, so we have 2 more Sundays of doing Halloween themed books. This week I picked Zen Ghost by John J. Muth. I found this one at the Capital Area District Library downtown because that's one of my favorite places to go to pick out books. What I found really interesting about this one, it was originally written down by Master Wu Man Huahai between 1183 and 1260. Who was a Chinese Buddhist monk. So this story is based off of a Buddhist monk story. It's about a Zen ghost panda. So I found that really interesting. And obviously we don't have pandas here at the store and we don't have bears here at the store. So I found what I thought was the next best thing to try to adhere to our story theme. And you can hear them already. I have a teddy bear hamster. Now, teddy bear hamsters are also sometimes called fancy hamsters or Syrian hamsters. They're all actually the same species. So, Syrian hamster, fancy hamster, long-haired hamster, whatever you want to call them, are native to Syria, Greece, Romania, and northern China. Now, despite the fact that in captivity we typically keep these guys in like really fluffy bedding and really cutesy looking stuff, hamsters actually come from deserts. They prefer to dig burrows down into the soil to make foodstuffs. They also enjoy like digging underneath rocks and old rotted wood. And out in the wild, hamsters actually eat insects, small lizards, basically anything that they can find. So the wild counterpart's diet actually has around 15 to 20% protein and about 5% fat. In captivity, we're used to feeding them seeds and nuts and dried fruits, which is perfectly fine for them. They also eat that stuff out in the wild. But it's also good to give them some good treats like some mealworms, some crickets, or even some roaches. For enrichment purposes, which we've talked about enrichment before, is anything that can stimulate an animal mentally and physically. We'll actually build bioactive exhibits for our hamsters and give them substrate about that deep. It's usually a mix of like desert blend, which is crushed walnut. And then we'll also throw some eco earth in there. We let them go ahead and dig all their own burrows. And then we routinely throw things like live mealworms, crickets, and roaches in there, and we let the hamsters hunt them down because, again, that's what they would be doing in the wild. Now, hamsters were discovered in like 1839, I believe, and by 1939 they were fully domesticated. Now, an interesting thing to know is that every hamster in the United States that is part of the pet trade originated from an original brother-sister pair. So that means all hamsters, all hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them that we've seen or are currently in the United States, all came from one singular brother-sister pair. We don't actually know how many are in the wild because they're actually a really reclusive species when they're out in the wild, especially since they like to burrow underground. They're a really, really fun animal. They can be a little temperamental here and there. As you notice, he was screeching when I first brought him out. Now he seems to be a little bit more okay with me. Their defense mechanism is to literally screech, put up their claws, and show you their teeth. And they actually have very long, sharp teeth like most rodents do. And they will bite and scratch and then defend themselves, so whatever they have to do. Now, once they get used to you, they tend to be pretty okay. They're very scent-oriented animals, so our recommendation is always going to be that when you take a hamster home, you give them about a week or so just to settle in, let them do their own thing. And then also, you're going to want to put something in there that has your smell on it. So an old sock or bandana or sweatband or something, so they can sleep with that and kind of know you basically as one of their own by the time you go out and start handling them. So with all that information on hamsters, I'm sure most of us haven't really heard of that because, again, captivity, we're just thinking cute little cage with lots of tunnels and fluffy bedding. But really, this is a desert creature by nature. They like it arid, they like it hot, and they love things to burrow down into. So if you're thinking about doing a bioactive exhibit with one, you should come see us. So I'm going to go ahead and read him our story, Zen Ghost, by John J. Muth. We'll see what he thinks about a giant panda bear. If I can get the pages. There we go. Michael, there's a ghost outside, said Carl. A what? Asked Michael. A big, scary-looking ghost, said Carl. Is it Stillwater? Asked Michael. It doesn't have Stillwater's face, said Carl. Oh, wait, yes, it is. Come in, Stillwater. Hi, Stillwater, said Addie. Happy almost Halloween. We are working on our costumes. I'm going to be a moon princess. What are you going to be? I'm a ghost, said Stillwater. What are you going to be? He asked Carl and Michael. I'm going to be a monster, said Carl, with a powerful, heavy heat ray and atomic breath. I will cause awesome destruction. I haven't decided what I'm going to be yet, said Michael. Either an owl or a pirate. I really like owls and I really like pirates. Perhaps you will be an owl pirate, said Stillwater. He can't be an owl pirate, said Carl. There's no such thing as an owl pirate. He has to be one thing. He can be whatever he wants, said Addie. Look, Stillwater, do you like my costume? Yes, said Stillwater. It reminds me of something. This is a very special Halloween. There's going to be a full moon, and I know someone who will tell you a ghost story. Yay, said Addie. I love ghost stories, said Michael. It's not too scary, is it? Asked Carl. After trick-or-treating, meet me by the big stone wall, and I will take you to the storyteller, said Stillwater. When the children were done trick-or-treating, they waited by the stone wall. I'll trade you 3 tiny mints for 1 Snickers, said Addie. No, said Carl, I'm not giving up my Snickers. But you don't even like them, said Addie, come on. I only like the tiny mints if they are crunch peppermint kind, said Carl. Besides, I'm saving my Snickers. I have one flavored like BAM! Boo, said Stillwater. Whoa, you scared me, said Carl. How long have you been there? Follow me, said Stillwater. I've never gone this way before, said Michael. Me neither, said Carl. I think I have, said Addie. In a few moments, they arrived at Stillwater's house. It is very misty, said Addie. Come in, said Stillwater. They all sat facing the front of the room. Then a panda, who looked exactly like Stillwater, came in and sat down. Is that Stillwater? Whispered Carl. Yes. No. I don't know. Shh, whispered Michael. The panda held up a brush and said, I'm going to draw you a story. Once, a long time ago, there was a young girl named Senho. Her parents loved her very much, and they took very good care of her. She had a best friend named Ochu, whom she had known for as long as she could remember. They were together so much that Senjo's father would laugh and say, You two are so well matched, you will probably end up marrying each other. As they grew up, they believed this would happen and they fell in love. But when Senjo reached marrying age, her father suddenly became ill and he couldn't work. He came to her one evening and he told her that she was wed to a nice man named Henryo. Henryo was prosperous and could take care of the family. Now Senjo was very sad. She had always hoped she would marry her best friend, Ochu. When Ochu heard about this, he decided to leave that very night. He couldn't stand to be in the same village where his beloved Senjo would be married to someone else. At midnight, with a full moon, he secretly went to the river's edge, packed his boat and left. He didn't tell anyone, not even Senjo. As he traveled up the river, he saw a vague figure running along the bank. His heart leapt when he saw that it was Senjo, and he hurried to her side. They hugged each other tightly and decided to go off together. Senjo and Ochu journeyed to a faraway village where they married and had 2 children. They were very happy. Then one day, Senjo came to Ochu in tears. She longed to be with her parents and to see her home again. Ochu felt the same way. They decided to return together and face the consequences. When they arrived at the dock, Ochu said, Let me go first and see your father. I will apologize and find out how things are before you come. Senjo's father was very happy to see him. Ochu told him they were sorry for what they did and had done, and that he and Senjo were now a family of 2 children. Senjo's father was astonished. What are you talking about, he asked. From the time you left the village, Senjo has been very sick in bed. She is unable to speak. Now Ochu was surprised. But I promise you, Senjo is well, and you are a grandfather. I will bring her to you. As Ochu went to the dock, Senjo's father rushed to his daughter's bedside and told her what Ochu had said. As she heard the story, she was filled with joy. Without saying a word, she rose from her bed and went quickly down the stairs. At that very moment, the Senjo, who had come ashore, arrived at the house with Ochu. The two Senchos, upon seeing each other, merged and became one. The storyteller paused. Then he asked, "Which Senjo is the true one? And they are one? Are they one or are they two?" Addie, Michael, and Carl looked at one another. Then they turned and looked beside them. Only a mask was sitting on the cushion. They looked at Stillwater sitting in the front of the room. He was reaching into a bag of Halloween candy. "I got a bunch of Whizzles and Tiny Mints. Does anyone have a bamboo flavored Snuckers?" "I've been saving one for you," said Carl. "Thank you," said Stillwater. "Thank you," said Carl. "That was a good story." The end. So that was a really interesting story, and as you guys know, I love reading folklore style stories and also stories from other countries that explain different heritage and different versions of like how life goes and how we perceive things in our lives. So this one was interesting because it seems like Sencho was willing to give up a whole part of herself to be with Ochu. And she also left a part of herself with her family, and when the two came back together, they were able to merge to make her one whole person again. I think this story is more or less about how we can split our hearts apart to be around different people and be with different people. Sometimes with our family and sometimes those we choose to be with. So this was a really cool story. I hope you enjoyed learning about our teddy bear hamster friend. And I hope you enjoyed our story, Zen Ghost by John J. Muth. You won't see me next weekend because I will be out of town at a festival in Florida called The Fest. So my band will be playing there. If you're interested, I'm going to plug it because this is the first time I've ever plugged stuff on our channel, but I'm in a band called Singing Lungs, and we are playing The Fest in Gainesville for Halloween weekend. So I will have a pre-recorded video for next week that will be up on the YouTube channel, and I will plug that into the Proust page, but I will not have a live video next week. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks.